You're listening to Online Pet Health Podcasts with Dr. Megan Kelly. Continuing education for veterinarian rehabilitation therapists. Learn more at onlinepethealth.com.
Hey, vet rehabbers, welcome to the Veterinary Rehabilitation Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Megan Kelly, and today I've got Hannah Capon. She's from the UK, well, actually Scotland now, and she is the founder of Canine Arthritis Management and is known as CAM to some of you, and she was also the UK Vet of the Year. Is that right, Hannah?
Yeah, it was. Thank you very much for noticing that.
Yeah, congratulations, and thanks so much for joining me.
No, I'm really grateful for being here. It's a really big opportunity, so thank you.
So Hannah and I, we're actually cyber friends. We've never ever met in person. We've chatted online and on the phone quite a bit. So I actually sort of heard of Hannah. I read an article, and Hannah reminded me now it was in the Vet Times because I couldn't remember where it was. So it was an online article. And she was writing, and I could just see how passionate she was about helping dogs with arthritis and pets with arthritis. And it's not something that I do often, actually, but reading her article, I was actually so moved. I just thought, this is so awesome. Somebody's like making a stand. They believe in something, and they really want to help, and they want everyone to know about what can be done. And so I found her email address, and I just reached out to her, and I just said, hey, like, go girl, like, good job, like, you're doing great stuff. And from then on, we just sort of made contact. Yeah, I mean, it started off with just you, Hannah, and now you have Canine Arthritis Management, which is a whole team of people. So I just want to say, firstly, well done for everything that you've done. I know that it hasn't been easy. So chatting through the last 3 years with you, I know in the beginning, you know, when it was just you were struggling to get people to actually take notice of what you wanted them to learn. And especially, I know some of the vets, and being a rehab therapist in South Africa, you know, years ago, I know how hard it is when people are not aware of something to try and get them to become aware, and they're so stuck in their ways. So firstly, I just want to say congratulations. You've done an amazing job to get CAM to where it is. And I'm so glad that you just persevered and stuck on with your passion, because you've done a great job.
Yeah, it was, I think it was 2016. I had written an article, and it managed to hit the front page of Vet Times, and that's when you contacted me. And yeah, I wrote it through sheer frustration, so there was quite a lot of emotion in it. But I'd been a vet for around about 14, 15 years by that point. And I think I got to breaking point of not understanding why we were not putting positive structured interventions into something that we saw every single day. And I'm glad to say that since 2015-16, we've now got proof that it is a big welfare issue. So Vet Compass earlier this year released data about what threats there are to companion animals and what other things that we really need to be taking more seriously, and it's dental disease, obesity and arthritis. And we know that obesity and arthritis are highly interlinked. So it gives us a little bit more confidence that our standpoint is a good one, and it's worth fighting for. So yeah, it's been tough, but I would say that I've met some amazing people on the journey so far. So it has opened doors to meet like-minded, passionate souls, and the team has blossomed from there, really. So it's hard, but it's worth it.
So tell us a bit about the journey. So you started off on your own. And I mean, I can remember just when you created the first website, and it seemed to me as soon as you got the team together, that's when things really started to explode. I mean, it's always difficult trying to do something on your own, because at that time you were also working as a full-time vet, or locuming and working as a vet, and then doing this on the side. And then you got this team of volunteers together. So, I mean, which is just so amazing. You have a team of people to help you out. So just walk us through the journey as from when you started to where you are today.
So I was working in Brighton, and I was a typical vet. I say just a first opinion vet with first opinion vet training. I hadn't specialised in anything. I was a jack of all trades, interested in everything. And I just started feeling quite uncomfortable with my approach to lameness, soft tissue injuries, musculoskeletal pain, because I really didn't feel that I had good enough advice. It's the area of the body with the biggest volume, you know, the muscles, the ligaments, the tendons. It takes up a huge amount of our mammalian space. And I was thinking, I don't know very much about this. And saying to people, hey, here's a non-steroidal, have 3 weeks rest, come back, and let's see if it disappears, I just realized wasn't adequate. So I had been looking into physiotherapy courses, and at that point I was single, mortgage, working full-time, so it just wasn't a possibility. So I stumbled across this course called Garland myotherapy, and it was very local, and I thought, you know what, that would be just a nice little introduction to see whether it's an avenue that I want to go down. So I went to see the lady, and I thought it was all mystic and magical, you know, myotherapy, massage therapy. I was like, I'm a Western based, I believe in pharmaceuticals, I don't believe in this. And I went and watched her twice, and I just was defeated. I was like, I don't understand how this works. So I started looking more into massage, and I bought this amazing textbook written, and it was The Anatomy and Physiology of Massage. And I was just like, whoa, this is insane. And I got more and more into what you can do with your hands, manual therapies. And I, at that point, was using it in consults. So to relax my patients. So 15 minutes, I found myself just naturally into putting massage techniques and the approaches that I was learning into my consults. And the dogs were easier to handle. They were more compliant. I never had difficulties with any patient. And you know, the cogs were turning, and I was thinking, there's something in this. So I then set up a one-on-one service where I went to people's homes, and I was doing it for free in people's houses after work, because I just really wanted to see what it was capable of. And I found that combining that with better observation, better pharmaceutical advice, nutrition advice, supplement advice, exercise advice, lifestyle advice, weight advice, and giving them advice about home management, we were getting absolutely obscene results. And that's where the hashtag your dog, it wasn't weeks, we're getting dogs that were living for years longer, because the owners needed to understand how their dog was presenting to them, what the dog was saying to them. And they were waiting for a yelp or a limp or something really overt, an acute pain response. They didn't understand that chronic pain is very different. So these changes that came on quite slowly, the owner had accepted them as normal. But then by having the time to educate them and say, no, that actually indicates discomfort, that owner was much more receptive and part of a treatment plan. So we're getting amazing results. And that just happened to coincide when I had one of those horrendous days as a vet where you just seem to put everything, we all know that. You just, you kind of like, oh, here's another one. Oh, here's another one. Generally happens in the UK around about Christmas time, which is a totally wrong thing I'm about to say. But there seems to be a little bit of a turnout at Christmas. And it was a day where I put 2 otherwise healthy dogs to sleep in one afternoon that had no muscle mass over their back legs, and they'd gone off their back legs. And that's when I just felt that, you know, what I was experiencing and learning needed to be put into a more accessible form for owners and for people in the profession that were interested, because for them to have lost that amount of muscle mass, to not have the ability to stand anymore because of pain, was uncontrolled pain for months, if not years. And that is something that I think when you say it like that, we all have a duty of care to. So that happened. I started writing the website, and then actually the final thing that really pushed me over the edge to get this moving was I was working with a nurse that had a condition called dysesthesia, which is a chronic pain syndrome where their brain overinterprets the information coming to it. So she was allodynic, and she stole Euthytal and committed suicide. And I just, for me, the idea of an animal being in that degree of pain for that amount of time that life is unbearable just made me think, right, this has got to work. We're gonna make this work. We haven't got there yet. But we're on the way. By writing the website and doing the Facebook page, I've started to meet people that have that same belief and passion that we can do better, and they give their time and skills for free to try and create these more broad curriculums. So any of our training plans, there is a very big element of behavior, there's a big element of complementary therapy, rehab, there's the veterinary aspect, there's nutrition, there's orthopedics. So it's much more of a broad approach rather than a very specific. And yeah, we're quite proud of it. We try and have people leave any of our days feeling empowered, enthused, motivated. They feel that it's actually their duty of care to do something about it. It's not just CPD, we're factual learning. This is a mission, this is what we're going to do. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
So how many people on the team now?
There's around about 20 to 30. It's quite fluctuant because we have volunteers and obviously life changes for people. So work commitments, family commitments. People come in, they take on housekeeping roles as well as being advisors. And it's the housekeeping roles that tend to fluctuate. So social media, as you well know, is hard work for very, very little rewards. And I would say it has quite a high burnout. You feel like you're permanently giving and trying to please, and you get a few likes and you think, what was that worth it? But so we have a big social media presence that can have a high turnover for people's own commitments, and I think they just don't realize how hard it is. And then we've got another kind of like, it's a gobstopper. So we've got our core, then we've got a team advisors with housekeeping, and then we've got our key opinion leaders and advisors. And then we've got an ethics committee that sits outside of that, where any decisions that we make, we pose it to a broad range of individuals that have no vested interest and say, how do you feel about this? Do you think it's the right approach? So for example, the ball throwing article that we did recently that went crazy. We had a discussion in our ethics whether what's going to be the repercussions of this. Are we doing the right thing? Have we got enough evidence base to make these claims, or are we, leaving ourselves open for people to criticize?
Listen, you always get people that will criticize. So, and I mean, sometimes it's not a bad thing. So because of people getting upset about that article, you got a whole lot more coverage. Not that you did it intentionally. You did it obviously because of the message you're trying to get across, but it's not always a bad thing.
No, and also my real core under all of this is I've met so many people that absolutely adore their dog. I've been a dog lover since day dot, and I never thought that anybody could adore their dog like I did with Holly. But I've met, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people that absolutely adore their canine companion, but they might not be in a financial position to explore some of the therapies that me and you know are available, be it shockwave, stem cell, even your non-steroidals, even supplements. That it's quite a financial outlay. But stopping throwing a ball to a dog that has arthritis and compensatory pain is a massive, massive free of charge input into pain control. And that's what CAM's about. It's about actually making sure that any owner can intervene. Everybody's capable of doing something. You do not have to have a huge amount of money and a huge amount of time. You need to look at what you're doing and how you can do it differently.
So let's chat a little bit, because I was on your website and there is quite a lot going on there. You've got loads of content and loads of things that you're busy with. So let's chat a little bit about the content. So you have two areas. So obviously the one area is for the pet owners. So vet rehabbers could obviously send their clients, if they've got a dog that's been diagnosed with arthritis, they could send their clients actually to your website, and there's so much information that is there for them. And then you also have the forum, right, which is also for pet owners. And guys, we'll put all the links to all of this in the podcast notes. And there are advisors that are on there. People can ask questions about their pets and get some feedback and some advice, right?
Yeah. The business model was so ridiculously simple. Obviously, it wasn't going to work. As a vet, I've worked in probably 50 odd practices around the UK now. So I've done a lot of locuming, I've done part-time work, full-time work, emergency work, clinical directorship. And of those 50 practices, none of them had an OA clinic. None of them had a successful senior clinic. And it made me really think that just because it isn't successful in the practice doesn't mean that information shouldn't be available. And maybe we should be doing it differently. So the idea was that if we made this amazing website with a support structure, with the ability to ask questions, then the little business cards that we do, so we have these tiny little business cards that lead an owner into that world. Vets, therapists, rehabbers can just hand over a business card and say, look, this is a safe platform. This is evidence-based. They are supportive and empathetic. And there are people there that have been in the same situation as you before. And each pack is, there's 100 in each pack, and they're $4.99. And we only needed to sell, I think it was around about 1,000 a month. We would be fine, So we added flyers, posters, and we got the booklets. But it's really simple. It's just such a beautifully simple idea of giving vets a reliable resource, giving rehabbers a reliable resource, because we know, because we do surveys all the time, owners come and see us and they take probably 40% of what we say home, 40%, because they just are flooded and it goes out. And they only tend to remember things that are relevant to them because they've got this confirmation bias. So they only pick out the things that they want to hear. And then they go online as soon as they get home. So this is a massive problem in the UK at the moment. 98% of small animal vets know that owners seek information off Google before they come to their appointments. And 80% of vets have owners coming in too late because owners are seeking advice from forums and Dr. Google prior to seeing the vet. Now, if you've got a blocked bladder, if you've got a GDV, this is not cool at all. So we wanted to make sure that the vets know that this is happening. They've got somewhere that they can send their clients to that they know is safe, is monitored, and evidence-based is pushed. And it's not going to be any kind of vested interest sales platform. So as you can see, we don't recommend supplements, foods, any therapies. We don't sell anything with a therapeutic claim because that will bias us. We're trying very much to be the people that sit on the fence and give advice. So the idea is that we fund ourselves by people buying these pieces of merchandise that they can use on their client base to ensure that that owner is going somewhere safe. And I think rehabbers know this. I myself, with my own service, you go and see a client and you find that they've just done $300 on some, new, well advertised thing online. You go, that's not going to work. That's not going to change anything. And financial toxicity is another word I love. Everybody's got a definitive amount of money. And if people are going online and they're being sold all of these amazing supplements and foods and therapies, they're going to run out of cash to do things that we know that actually does work. And that is where, for my sake, I feel people should do a blood sample or a urine sample. They shouldn't be scared of their vet. But they've already spent their money because they went on Amazon at 11 o'clock at night because they were upset because they saw that the dog was struggling and in pain, and they just bought something and it looked good and it had some great, well-marketed testimonials. So they press pay. So we're trying to create a world that owners can get information and encouragement and emotional support.
So, obviously, guys will, like I said, we'll put the links in here so you guys can send your clients to the forum, and as well as where all the information is. So that's the clients. But now you also have a section for veterinary professionals. And I went online and I saw you've got two basically like workshops that you do, which are day CPD workshops. And the one was a 5x5x5 approach. And I know that years ago you chatted to me about this when you were developing it. So let's chat a little bit more about this and what exactly that entails.
Okay, so there are lots and lots of brilliant tools out there, and this is definitely not trying to challenge anything that already exists. So something that's recently out is Coast, and I would encourage everybody to go and look at it. So that's a staging tool that's been developed by Duncan Lascelles' team. It looks very similar, but they're very, very different. This is it's a first opinion tool, and a team of us looked at what the challenges were in first opinion practice. So in the UK, consults tend to be 10 to 15 minutes. They're very, very busy practices. We've got a big problem with vet-to-vet continuity. So owners are not seeing the same vet. We've got a big corporate takeover. So, and we've got a vet shortage here. So we've got lots of locums, lots of changing staff. So we were looking at the key problems, and I don't think it is that we don't have enough tools to manage this disease better. It's about identifying it, communicating and dealing with expectations, and becoming a team approach with owner, vet, nurse, receptionist. So the 5x5x5 is designed as a communication tool and an expectation tool. So there are 5 stages to OA, 5 grades, and 5 pain scores. So instead of you writing in your clinical notes when you're rushed as the first opinion practice, generalized OA, owner not on board, still overweight, which is quite a common thing, you could write stage 1. So the owner hasn't agreed that there is a problem yet. The vet might be able to feel those joints and go, but actually they are pretty grossly abnormal. So this is almost like a grade 4 out of 5. We've got gross change to these arthritic joints. But believe it or not, the pain score is only probably about 2 out of 5 here. So I'm willing to give this a little bit of time, and we'll see this owner back in 3 to 4 weeks, and we'll approach the topic again. But if the same case had a 4 out of 5 pain score, then this is a welfare problem that we need to be getting this owner back in. And the next vet to see that needs to be taking this seriously. We are not controlling this dog's condition. We're not controlling this dog's pain. So the stages are identification, diagnosis, initial treatment plan, long-term management plan, and end-of-life care. And that's to help the owners know where they are. The other good thing about it is that owners like this numerical order. So they don't like jumping from stage 1 to stage 3. So when you say, right, so we know we've got a problem, you want to jump to stage 3 and start a non-steroidal. Oh, well, what stage 2? Well, stage 2 is a diagnosis. At the moment, we haven't got a diagnosis. We assume that we've got some arthritic change, but I really need to do a few more tests for us to be sure that that is the case. Oh, okay, so you've got a plan. Yeah, we have a plan. Brilliant. Well, I'll come with you on your plan. And that's a big problem in the UK. I think a lot of vets are struggling to get owners to go from suspicion of OA to confirmation of OA. And therefore, we're getting animals that are potentially on non-steroidals that shouldn't be, or it isn't suitable. So that's a very useful part of the 5x5. The grading system is because we've got new therapies coming out, and there is a very big difference between a 8-month-old golden retriever that's got hip dysplasia and what their joints look like compared to the same dog 5 years later, where the joint is basically almost non-motile, completely ankylosed, there's no cartilage there, it's bone on bone and feel all the time. They're different cases. So by grading the joints, we have a chance to be able to communicate to our colleagues, and we can deal with expectations of the owner. So if you've got a dog that has got 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 5 arthritic change, that joint's never going to work properly. So we are going to have mechanical lameness. We're never going to have a return to a normal functional gait. And it also affects what we choose to do. So if you've got a joint that is 5 out of 5, are we going to be spending time on our glucosamines and our avocado unsaponifiables? Or are we going to go for our omega-3s? Potentially, because we talked about financial toxicity, that would be more suitable. And then the 5 scores of pain is because we need to get the owner understanding and the colleagues about what it is for this dog. So we've got an owner's expectations and understanding dealt with. We're looking at the actual disease process, and we're now talking about how does this affect the dog? What is the dog's pain score? So as I said at the beginning, having a dog that's say 1 out of 5 in pain and the owner's struggling with the concept of initiating this treatment plan is really different to having an owner that's at stage 1 but the dog is 4 out of 5 out of pain. And that is something that a practice can then say, well, we have a protocol for this situation. We see them back in a week, and we see them back in a week, and we see them back in a week, whatever we need to do to try and help that owner get on board and understand. So it's not any kind of clinical metrology instrument. It's a communication tool in-house for vet to vet, vet to nurse, even vet to receptionist, because they're all part of the team, but also vet to owner. And it's to try and get the owner to understand we have a plan and trust us, because we know what we're going to be doing and we're going to follow this routine. The other beauty about it is if you've got an owner that's been in stage 4 for quite a long time, they know that stage 5 is coming. And that's something that I've experienced a lot with my one-on-ones, where I've seen people that are really in the later stages of managing this disease, but they just don't see it coming. And that's really sad. But then also you have people that have only just started their journey, but they're convinced that death is around the corner. And they don't initiate a treatment plan because they're in decision paralysis and they're, emotionally just sucked into this void. I can't do anything, can't do anything. You have this ability to kind of tell people where they are on this journey, which I think is really helpful.
Yeah, so I mean, those grades, do you actually say to the clients, this is where you are, this is the journey that you're going on? I think that's great. I mean, if I think about my clients, when you have some type of measurements or some type of grade or something, it's so much easier for them to understand. And an example is actually taking thigh circumference measurements. To all the vets that used to refer to me, I actually taught them how to do thigh circumference measurements. And when they had cases that wouldn't, that the clients wouldn't send on to us, so they say, like, listen, you have to do something about this. You have to do strengthening. You have to do hydrotherapy. They would then do thigh circumference measurements. And then the next time they saw that dog, they would do them again. And, I remember the one time this vet actually phoned me and said that there was a 9 centimeter loss, from the time that they saw the dog before. And when the owner saw that and heard that, they were like, I'll do whatever now. So because most of the time it's so gradual, they don't actually notice the difference, and they just think it's old age, So measurements and those grades sound like a really, really good way to be able to communicate with them and for them to have a good understanding of where they are. So now you actually teach this whole system right in a day to vet practices and vet rehab practices. Have you done it? Is it just for veterinary practices or?
Mostly vet. It's most vet practice at the moment. So the 5x5x5 approach as a lecture series is for small independents where they are a single branch and it's small staff numbers, so they can effectively close down the practice almost for an afternoon. Whereas the OA team, which is the other package that we offer, is for those other practices that need to stay open. They maybe have a couple of branches, but we train nurses separate to reception, then we do team, and then we do vets. So they all have tailored content, but then they come together as a team and have this team building spirit, and we go through case examples with a new understanding. So we quite like the OA team because we get to actually tailor it to what that professional understanding is prior. So we start off reception because they're normally very quiet and they don't really know their place and they don't really understand why they're there and they don't feel that they've got a voice, and you spend an hour and a half with them and they're like, oh, are we allowed to notice? Are we allowed to make these observations? Yes, you are. You're part of the team. And then by lunchtime, because we leave the vets to last because they tend to think they already know everything, we don't do them until after the team. So the receptionists and the nurses have kind of got a bit of a step ahead. So in the team training, they're like pluffed up. They know what they're doing. They know what this is about. And the vet's a little bit on the back foot, so they keep quiet. They allow others to speak, and we do the vets in the afternoon, and that's great, and it's fun. It's so much fun, and we've had wonderful results about it. It's just trying to get vets on board to realise that arthritis it deserves this kind of training, because it does, because it's the most common thing that we see in practice, and it deserves to have this level of dedication put into it.
I think it's awesome. And part of me is thinking now, I'm sure that there are people that are listening here in other parts of the world that are going to thinking, oh, we should have that training. So maybe you guys will
I'll travel.
flying to other countries, maybe starting off in Europe. So let's chat a little bit about your big walk. So I can remember 2 years ago, you did your big September walk. And I believe it was just you and Holly, your doggy.
Yeah.
And now you've got some changes now for this year, and you're going to be having a whole lot more people. Tell us a little bit about the big walk and the plans for the big walk this year.
Okay, so in September 2017, me and Holly set out on an 8-day walk. We did the South Downs Way, which is a 100-mile walk across the south coastline. It's quite up and down. They've got lots of beacons, which mean very, very high points in the surrounding area. So pushing a 40-kilo trolley up a steep hill was really hard. So if you want to go and laugh at me, the Instagram page is still up, and it's called Holly Dog Cam. And there's many video clips of me almost in tears trying to push this blinking trolley up the hill. Because at that point she was 15. And I wanted to make sure that all of her needs were catered for. And believe it or not, and this is real testament to rehab, by the end of the 8 days, she was just flying. So by having regular exercise, not pushing her past fatigue, taking her into a novel new environment, dedicating time and attention to her, she was just on cloud nine. And we'd get home and she'd be wanting to play with a ball, she'd be wanting to go and do stuff. She was not tired. But rehab, wow, you know, that was rehab in the wild. So we did that, and we slept rough. So we took all of our materials. We had people join us on the days of the walks at different points, generally in a pub many evenings. And at the end of the walk, we'd raised £6,500, which was awesome. Last year we'd planned to do it again, but sadly Holly wasn't well enough. And this year it was the team that, without me knowing, kind of said, right, we can do it again, but we're going to do it differently. And because we've got some really loyal followers, we've suggested to them that they organise their walks. And we're not talking 100 miles, we're talking little pootles around the park. So it could be anything from 10 people to 400 people. So some vet practices are making a big thing about it to launch their OA clinics. We've got some hydrotherapy centres that are getting their clients to come for a day. Some people are using it as a chance to open their facilities. So if they've just got an underwater treadmill in practice, they're using it as a way to publicise that. And we're trying to organise 100 walks throughout September, organised by different people. And we've got a team of amazing people. So it's Mel, Amy, Georgie and Sarah, who are all giving up their time for free. They are physio, nurse, and somebody from Holly's Army, who are working as a 4-person team to give people structure for their walks, risk assessment, sponsorship forms, advice, guidance. We've got a page called CAM's September Big Walks, where we're going to advertise where all these walks are around the country, so that people can come and join them. And we're really grateful because Hills have got behind it, and they are our major sponsor, and they are going to do a supporters pack for every attendee. So it doesn't matter where you are in the country, you will go home with a goodie bag donated by Hills, which is awesome. We're looking for more sponsors. So if anybody hears that and goes, oh, we'd like to get involved, why are we doing it? Basically, the website is old. It's not functioning well enough. There's no more media. We need to have a broader approach. I've learned a lot in the last 3 years, and I sit there and I look at it and I feel really uncomfortable because I want it to be better. So we're trying to raise £15,000 to rebuild the website and just make it all singing, all dancing support network for owners around the world. We model ourselves very much on Versus Arthritis. I don't know if you know about that over where you are, but it's a combination between 2 organisations, Arthritis Care and Arthritis Research, which are human organisations that have clubbed together to make an amazing online platform to help people with arthritis. And it doesn't just cover the drugs and the intervention, it talks about things that you can do to make yourself happier, things that you can do to make your life better, you know, adjustments to your daily routine that makes the pain a bit better, you know. And I think that's really important. I think as vets we focus very much on the pharmaceuticals, and then I think rehab we focus very much on the rehab, but what does that owner go and do when they're at home alone with their dog, worrying that it's going to be around the corner? And I think we can do a lot more for that, and I think behind that will come better compliance, better understanding, and I think we'll get longer, much longer for these dogs. Well, I know we will. So that's the idea.
So you want to basically just improve the website to be able to help more people and vets. It's going to, what are the kind of things that you're looking to do that's different to now on the website?
So we want to have a lot more video content because obviously, you know this, the world has gone video, and it comes at a price. It's not easy to get all of these things online. Well, you'll support me on this. To actually have the platform where people can click on video links, that they're subtitled, that they're well filmed, that's not going to be cheap. But we also want to add a lot more tools to it. So we've got the It's My Home 2 tool. I don't know if you guys have seen that. So that is already available. We've got an exercise tool, we've got a lifestyle tool, we've got a panic button tool. So for those owners that go, oh my God, it's time, they can actually just go through this flow diagram and just check themselves to make sure that they're making the right decisions. Because a lot of people panic when actually nothing's changed. So we've got a panic tool coming out, and we've also got a costing tool, because we've done quite a lot of work on Holly's Army, asking our followers, what are you spending your money on? And people are going crazy. They're spending money on things that potentially aren't in the animal's best interest, but they're putting themselves into positions that they shouldn't be doing. So no one wants to see that their owners have got credit card bills of $5,000 and no longer a dog, you know. So we've created a costing tool so people can plan their finances. So we've got loads of things that we want to do for it. So we've been listening for the last 3 years to what owners want, what will help them. We've been thinking not as vets and trying to think about how we can actually really help owners. And we want to just make this super platform, really.
Sounds very exciting. Let's go back a little bit to the walk. So it's obviously in the UK. What happens if there's somebody in another country that wants to support you guys and do a walk? So I'm just thinking maybe someone here in South Africa or some in Europe. I mean, I have listeners from all over the world. So
yes.
Is that a possibility?
100%, 100%. You know, so it's the same month as the IVAPM's Pain Awareness Month. So that was a plan with the original September walk with Holly. And I think trying to get global awareness about chronic pain, and bearing in mind that arthritis and cancer and dental is the most common causes of chronic pain, I think that this is something that the whole globe could get behind. And we've got talks of walks over in New Zealand. We've heard about people suggesting in America, but please get on board. The hashtag yourdogmoreyears doesn't belong to anybody. It is a message that we can get out there to the public, that by these interventions, early identification, a multimodal management plan, it doesn't need to be a financial management plan, it's a multimodal management plan, you will get improved health with your dog and longer.
So one of the questions that often comes up, and you know, obviously we're chatting now about the expenses of the website and everything that you guys do. So people often ask, is CAM a charity?
It's really tricky, and I'll be completely honest about it. I've had a lot of difficulties in myself of wondering whether we are a charity, because we've got the ability to self-sustain. So through sales of business cards, posters, flyers, booklets, the online owner modular workshop, the practice training, we could fund ourselves and we wouldn't need to ask. We also didn't really want to be in the position that we took funding that would change our direction. We don't want to be pulled by somebody else's wishes. So we've battled on being a private limited company with social enterprise ethos, where any money that we make gets ploughed back into CAM. But the costs are just not meeting the input, you know. So even though we've got an online shop where owners can buy booklets, bandanas, leads, we've got some enrichment toys, we've got some clothing to try and get the message out there. We've got our practice training, we've got our owner modular workshop, this online course. The finances aren't stacking up. And I think at this point we need to start thinking about going charity, but that in itself isn't a quick, easy fix. It's reasonably costly. To become a charity, you have to put an initial financial input into doing it. You actually have to have a group of trustees that all have their own clinical, with their own skill base that they're going to bring to the charity to move it forward. And it sounds daft, but the actual accounts are more expensive to run year on year when you're running a charity. And going back to my original thought, I did a lot of research and I was looking at the amount of charities out there that I felt are more needy than us. And there are, you know, there's children charities, there's human health charities, there's serious, you know, dog welfare, animal welfare issues, there's environmental charities. And I just thought, we're not in that category. We could do this ourselves. And that's why, until this point, I haven't chosen to go down that. I think my own moral compass has kind of had a bit of a war with itself. We can do this without financial investment, and that investment could go to people that need it more. But maybe we do need to go down the charity route.
Anyway, I mean, you guys do so much. You offer so much content, and people can go online. They can learn so much. And obviously all the money that is donated, because you do get people to donate. I mean, there's a button, I think, to donate on the website. So if you guys go on, if you learn some information and you're happy just to give a little bit of donation just to help sustain Cam at the moment and to get that new website. That'll be awesome. It's going to benefit so many pets and so many owners and so many veterinary professionals once it's up and running. So guys, please do everything that you can to support Cam. You guys are doing a great job. Well done, Hannah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking the time to chat to me. I mean, I feel that we could just keep chatting, but I think we've touched on all the major things that I wanted to. We'll have loads of links because they're up to so much in the podcast notes. So if you guys want to reach out, we'll put a contact there for Hannah. If you guys want to get involved with anything that they're doing, the walks, or if you're interested in any of the training, please just reach out to Hannah. She's there. She'll contact you or one of the team from Cam.
Thank you. It was really lovely talking to you. Really lovely.
Awesome, Hannah. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
See you later.
Bye. Vet Rehabbers, thanks for listening to my podcast. Don't forget to click the subscribe button, and it would be great if you could leave me a review. I want to know, what are you doing on the 15th to the 17th of November? It is our Vet Rehab Summit, which is our online virtual conference for veterinary rehab professionals. Find out more information at onlinepethealth.com.